Well, what have we here? Traveling through the area, huh? The name is Sheldon, and I am a raider. You're lucky I don't rob you just for stopping in. It would seem you've caught me in a good mood and at a good time. You see, the crew I've been running around with isn't exactly what I would call profitable, or useful for that matter. We've set up camp in some pre-war infrastructure, and we've been stuck here for quite some time. Nobody wants to move off this mountain, and nobody wants to share their share of the loot from our latest heist. Psst. The thing is, kid, I'm looking to go into business for myself, if you know what I'm saying. Shoo! Well, that took a hot moment, but I think I killed all of them. What's that? Noise? Oh, that's just my pet cricket here. His name's, well, Pet Cricket. Now, don't let looks deceive you. I know he's a little cutie patootie, but he is one hell of a fighter when it comes to a tussle. Oh, who's a good boy? That's right, Cricket is. You want a little bit of mole rat flesh, buddy? Well, Cricket, old buddy, old pal, looks like it's just you and I now. The way it started and the way it's always gonna be. Let's do this. It's time that we walk our happy little asses off this mountain and start heading a bit south. Near the river here, I found some pre-war wreckage. It appears to be some type of ACP vehicle. The closer I got to it, the more it tickled my strands of DNA, but I ended up finding some useful resources and items inside, and on the outside I found myself a nice brain bucket, as well as a little bit of ammunition. If I find a shotgun, these shells will be quite useful. For now, they'll just stay in the box, I guess. As I began making my way further south, going through some more pre-war infrastructure, I would end up finding more ammunition, a Molotov cocktail, and even a short pipe rifle. Similar to the pistol that we currently have, but much more accurate and much more long range. Just what the doctor ordered, fending off foes from a distance, a raider's wet dream. With my new rifle in tow, I would continue my journey, and in the distance, I could see what appeared to be some type of settlement or base of sorts, and upon approaching further, it looks to be a farm. An occupied farm, at that. Don't get me wrong, I have no sense of morality, and I'm willing to kill every single person within this farm to take it, as it would be the perfect base, but I don't know how many of them there are, so it might be better for me to return at nightfall. But I can still explore the general area here in search of useful items to help me in my conquest of slaughtering a farm family. I ended up coming to a Red Rocket truck stop where I found a dog. Pet Cricket didn't really seem to like him though, so we're gonna leave him here. Moving on. I scoured the entire truck stop and I ended up finding some useful buttercup things that had some screws in them, which was just perfect, as I also detected a weapons workbench. All these things combined would allow me to put a scope on my pipe rifle. Using this, we'll really be able to pick people off from a distance, and we might be able to scout out that farm a little bit better to see how many folks are there. It was afternoon now, and the sun was starting to get a little bit lower in the sky. I was coming to hide in some foliage so I could scout the place out. If my basic math is correct, it would seem that there's 2 in the front yard and 1 in the back. Now we just wait for the cover of night and we should be good to go. Yes, Cricket, I'm aware that slaughtering a family of farmers is not a nice thing to do, but we need their farm for our base. Now, will you please just rest? Well then, I think that did the trick. Could I have been a bit more sneaky with it? Yes, I could, but I wasn't. And now we have 3 dead farmers and everything they own. Quite literally the clothing off their backs and their entire farm. Oh, and best of all, we even have our very own pet cat. Hello there, little friend. Sorry about killing your well, entire family, but I am going to take really good care of you. Actually, the very next day, Pet Cricket ended up killing it and started eating it. Oopsie daisy. But before that happened, we started taking a look around our very own brand spanking newly acquired base that we got for killing a bunch of innocent people. But it's still ours. All ours, I might add. As I gaze out into the fields of potatoes, all I can do is imagine all of the shitty and shabby little raider huts that we can put out there, and all of the folks that we can add to our gang under my command. But there is a lot of work to be done, so we'll need to get some shut-eye. Good night for now. Such a beautiful sunny morning here on our irradiated rock. Time for us to get to work cleaning this place up a bit. But first I have a pile of dead farmers that I need to dispose of. Yeah, that's the word. Dispose of. Oh, I also gotta get rid of this dead cat. Pet Cricket's been chewing on it all night. Can't be good for his teeth. A few hours later, the place was already looking much better. I got rid of those filthy fields of potatoes a-growing and a bunch of bushes and other rubble and things that was lying around, and we have a pretty, well, fairly clean farm. At the very least, we know for sure it's ready to start taking in my gang of raiders. Once we find them. On the contrary, they could come to us if we were to build a beacon that would send out a radio signal to any and all who were willing to join our cause and gang. The only problem currently is we don't really have the resources. Luckily for us, I know of a nearby town, a gas station, and even a vault in the hills around the surrounding area that has plenty of resources, and I do mean plenty. But before we head to those places and start stripping them of their resources, I thought that I might take a little stroll into Concord, a pre-war city. I immediately heard the sounds of gunfire, and I watched a few raiders get eviscerated by a laser beam. There was a gentleman standing atop a city hall, I think is what it was, and they were all killing each other. Anyways, I just started looting some buildings and tried not to pay them any mind. They were awful loud, but I found plenty of ammo, a few weapons, I even found some duct tape, and a few other different things like cups and fans, and, you know, some other interesting things, I suppose. Perhaps some of the most useful items, though, were on the raiders themselves. After the gentleman who blasted them between the eyes with a laser musket went back inside, of course. I'm trying to keep a low profile, but we don't mind any second-hand items like weapons and armor, of course, and these will be perfect for my own raider gang, so don't mind if I do. Before I came back home, I actually ended up going to the Red Rocket truck stop, deconstructing a lot of different stuff for items and resources, and making a very slow walk back home before the clip you're seeing now, so you wouldn't have to bear watching that slog through the woods. With these resources in hand, I built a generator, and I also ended up building the beacon, giving us some power, not only for the base and all of our lighting, but also powering the beacon itself, sending out radio waves across the Commonwealth and the wasteland, calling on any and all who wish to join us here. Oh, and as you can see, I also got myself some spiffy armor, mostly comprised of scrap metal and tin cans, but I think it's quite fitting along with the eye patch and army helmet. As I was admiring my new attire, we ended up getting our very first raider joining us. Well, she's not quite a raider just yet, just a simple settler in these lands, but with a bit of elbow grease and a push in the right direction, we'll turn her into a devious ne'er-do-well in no time. You'd be surprised who people will kill for a little bit of food and a place to stay. Or maybe you wouldn't, I don't know, but a good place for us to start would be some proper weapons and armor for her, so we spared her some scrap metal armor and also a few pipe weapons, and we gave her a guard position atop our mighty tower. A great role for her, as she'll be able to tell us if there's any opposing opposing raider groups trying to sneak up on us, or perhaps a death claw, or quite literally anything that might want to do us harm. Now that we finally got our gang started, even though it's just me and her, and also Pet Cricket of course, I think it is time that I build myself a proper home though, which after gaining a good bit of steel, wood, and concrete, I immediately began working on, and I am pretty darn happy with how it turned out. Now, the top section is going to be my living area. Right now, at the time of recording, I'm not sure what I'm going to make the bottom just yet. But up top you'll notice I have my very own bed. No more laying out on the ground, well, just the ground normally, or even in a sleeping bag. That's right, we have a proper mattress with a frame. And I have a few, amenities next to my bed at night in case I get a little parched. And in the time it took me to throw together my little shit shack here, we have yet another settler who has joined us looking to become a filthy f***ing raider. So I tossed a shotgun into his hands and I let him guard the front of my house, but I would have to change this shortly thereafter because it turns out people actually need food to stay loyal. Who would have guessed? Either way, they seem pretty tickled for this opportunity.
Thank you for your help. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Go grow some potatoes so you don't starve, please. While our two newest members of the gang are tending to our new base, I decided to take another little stroll into town. Not Concord this time around, but Lexington, much larger with more opportunity. Opportunity for me to kill, and also steal. I killed some feral ghouls, looted some places, and made my way to the top of a nearby building where I spotted in the distance a raider gang arrival. Raider gang, I might add. Something tells me these fellows have no interest in joining our gang. Oh well. These gunshots apparently alerted a small group of feral ghouls in the rubble, which kinda sucked, but Pet Cricket and I eventually would end up taking care of them fairly easily. But then I noticed that the raider in the power armor didn't really want to come down. I started sniping at him and he almost blew himself up. Almost, that is. I destroyed their automated defenses and then he decided to flank me. A genius move. Except for the fact that he had almost blew himself up and almost killed himself, and then I found him laying dead. My best guess is that Pet Cricket might have bit him on the kneecap, finishing the job. I'm not really sure. Either way, though, we could loot his corpse, and we ended up getting a fat man from it. I think that this puts us at least a little bit higher on the raider food chain, if you ask me. We could also strip him of his power armor, which was great, except for the fact that the frame was completely in shambles, and we wouldn't be able to take it. But that wouldn't be a very big problem for very long. On our way back home, I encountered the railroad tracks with some derailed shipping containers, one of which appeared to contain a caged item. A power armor frame with a little bit of T45 on it already. And it was all ours, baby. What were the chances that we would get Raider power armor in Lexington, and then just on the outskirts of Lexington there just so happened to be a derailed train? It's almost like somebody looked it up online. Anywho, though, we walked our happy ass and our power armor back to the base, and might I just say that we look very intimidating and foreboding, although we would look much better with a nice new paint job as well as all the armor in a complete set. I mean, it's not a perfect set. Of course, we're kind of mismatching, but it's still great. Oh, and by this point, I had also converted the bottom floor of my home into a nice bar for all of our newest Raider members who have been joining us and all those who will be joining us in the future. Just a nice place for them to take the edge off for the evening, or possibly during the day, if they want to do a bit of day drinking after washing the blood off their hands, that is. It also works as a good way for me to gain the trust of my newest members, as I am quite literally giving them a piece of my home. But enough of that, it's time for us to be out adventuring once more. We're on a bit of a mission. Word has it from some of the folks who have been joining us, there is a rival raider gang not too far from our base. Hole up in some pre-war satellite relay or some shit, I don't really care. All I actually care about is slaughtering these rival gang members until there's none of them left, along with Pet Cricket, of course. After killing quite a few of them on the surface, I realized this place was an absolute dump, and this couldn't be the extent of the base. They must have traveled underground, hiding from me. But they won't be hiding for long. I quickly and cautiously began making my way through the relay facility, brushing mongrel dogs and skulls, all like melons all the same. But eventually, during my little excursion here, I came across the main leaders who just so happened to have a great big minigun. After a few Molotov cocktails, though, I think we were golden, Pony Boy. And now comes the best part. With them dead, that means the minigun is all mine, baby. Oh, imagine the looks on their faces when I bring this home. I also found the generator for the entire facility. I think this might be better off in my pockets. And then I watched the little sphincter turn gray. There was some kind of top secret room up top in the facility, and they even had a nice little miniature nuclear bomb, which would go perfect with my launcher that I got. Oh, I gotta tell you, things are really looking up for your favorite Raider King / Overlord / leader, whatever you want to call me. These new items are really gonna help us out with our conquest of the wasteland. I also started building some walls all around our facility here. That way we could try to avoid any retaliatory strikes from rival raider gangs. Mostly around the back of the base here, where we also actually have 2 separate areas for some of our own members to watch out all around the perimeter, keeping us safe and sound. This new section of our community actually comes equipped with something of a teeny trailer park in the making, I suppose you could say, as well as a barn. This might seem a little uncharacteristic for raiders, but raiders have to eat too, and stealing food only works about half the time because, well, sometimes you gotta grow the shit, alright? And whether the potatoes are fresh from the farm or soaked in somebody else's blood, they taste all the same. Kind of. Now, what are we keeping in this barn? Well, we have some irradiated fish from some nearby ponds and streams, as well as a great big behemoth of a Brahmin. You might be asking yourself, where the hell did you get one of those? Well, in my travels, I met a trader, and he had all sorts of animals. Cats, Brahmin, a little bit of everything, and, he, didn't need it anymore, because I shot him in the head. During this time, I also came across a group of gunners. They weren't exactly raiders. Actually, as a matter of fact, they were much tougher. Tough as nails, one might even say. I had to empty an entire clip from my pistol and rifle just to get rid of a few of them and their damn dirty turrets. Now, you might wonder why I even troubled myself with this. Well, even though they're not raiders, they are competition all the same. And since their weapons and other gear were much better than our own, if I were to say pry it off their corpses, I could give it to my own crew. But first, I found yet another fusion core, and I must watch this sphincter turn gray again. That's the stuff. As I was traveling back home, I ran into something rather disturbing. But also, one might say that I hit the jackpot. The largest rival raider gang base within our vicinity. Taking them out would really put us on the map, giving us quite the reputation. But not only that, it would also clear out any chance of them attacking us within the near future. There's just one little problem though. These raiders are much more well armed and armored than any of our gang. We'll need to prep ourselves first and foremost. Something tells me that running into here with our hunting rifle and pet cricket wouldn't really intimidate them. Look at these tacky heads on spikes. Ugh. Yeah, we get it. You're raiders. Okay, so after returning home, maybe I started decorating our raider base with skulls on spikes all over the place. You know what? Look, I should have done this earlier. They have the right idea, but we're still going to kill them. And since we're back home home with all of our new goodies from the gunners who no longer needed these items. We went ahead and gave them to our gang members. Damn, looking spiffy old chap, especially with the... ooh, shades. Anyways, though, it's about damn time we killed those other bastards, so I've geared up one of my top favorite gang members, and she is going to come with me, and, well, we are going to go on quite the slaughterfest, aren't we? Yes, we are. Just in case things get a little bit too hairy in there, it's only going to be the two of us. And Pet Cricket, of course. Without a sliver of hesitation or doubt, the three of us would set out to this rival base, looking to wipe them all out. Alright, folks, it's time to earn that reputation we so desperately want as a Raider King. And you know what? We might even crack a few skulls and break a few femurs while we're at it. As I approached, I spotted some turrets. So, first things first, getting rid of their automated defenses. Fight your own damn battles, you cowards. I spotted another of these little metal headaches on top of the roof, and as I was dealing with it, I got an unpleasant surprise. I should have guessed they had some power armor of their own, and this fellow just bonked me on my noodle. Ah, desperate times, as they say. That'll do, that'll do. Now with their mightiest warrior and their secret weapon taken care of, nothing would stop my rampage. During my slaughter, though, I would come upon a pretty interesting fighter. Apparently the locals consider this fella to be legendary. They say legends never die. Well, we'll just have to see about that now, won't we? Ah, just as I had hypothesized. We just put that fella on the back of a t-shirt. Who's next? Well, turns out nobody. Nobody up here, at least. I'll tell you what, though, the other guy had a pretty interesting weapon, some type of laser musket. Don't mind if I do. Nobody was left up here, but it looks like they have a basement. Don't mind if I take a little peek-see, do ya? Anybody home? As I was using my minigun to transform these folks into red mush on the ground, I spotted the back room back here that was pretty heavily defended. Thought to myself, well, this must be where they store all the good drugs. And it was, but there was much more than that. This must be where their leader stays, going by the name of Red Tourette. Well, I don't know about all that, but I just turned her into a stain on the ground. Oopsie poopsie. Pet Cricket liked her a lot better now that she was a corpse. Not to worry, though, Red Tourette is forever in our hearts, and she will continue living on through her armor and her fat man that I found in the facility, and they're both now in my bedroom, on display where they belong. God, it feels good to be king. Anyway, I expanded the walls all around our little raider town here, and as you can see, it encompasses the entirety of the base. I'm feeling safer already. Now the entrance to the compound is a great big gaping hole in the wall, but thanks to our eagle-eyed friend here and our very own turrets, anybody that comes in here without an invite's gonna be leaving in several teeny little pieces. But you know what, as impregnable as that previous design was, I thought that maybe it could use a little bit of an upgrade, and I'm much more happier with it now. And I kinda forgot that I was trying to kill a bunch of other raiders, and I went on a big old building spree. But I suppose every Raider King needs a Raider Kingdom, right? And mine just so happens to be a glorified trailer park, but I'm pretty happy with it. By this point, our gang has hit double digits. I think we're at about 12 or maybe 13, and you know, that's not much of a kingdom, but in the wasteland, when there's hardly any babies being born, it's basically a whole damn country. Anyways, we got all the trailers where everybody lives, some pretty luxurious homes compared to the rest of the Commonwealth, I'd say, and we got another great big tower right in the middle, which is basically just a big power plant as it's generating all the electricity for our little city base here, and that's about it. Except for the bottom floor floor, actually, as I turned that into a pretty basic standard power armor garage for the time being. We had to have somewhere safe to store it, but as I look out over my city of ne'er-do-wells and everything that I have built and all those that I govern, I feel content. I'm not saying that I'm done robbing and killing and also murdering other raiders, but I feel pretty happy with what we've built. Alright, see you later.